My beloved child, wait, pause for a breath, something has just shifted in your world, and you almost missed it. There is a message. Not a random thought. Not a coincidence. A real, living pulse of emotion that moved through someone's heart and landed on you. And the timing? It is not accidental. Your soulmate just sent this urgent message. Not through noise. Not through chaos. But through energy, memory, and a sudden pull you felt without explanation. Think about it. Why did you feel restless today? Why did their name echo in your mind when you were doing something completely ordinary? This is not random. Somewhere, at almost the exact same moment, they paused. They looked at their phone. They opened your picture. And something inside them shifted. Not dramatically. Not loudly. Quietly, but deeply. Stay a little longer. Because what they felt was not nostalgia. It was realization. For a long time, they convinced themselves that time would solve everything. That distance would blur emotions. That silence would make it easier. But tonight, or maybe even just minutes ago, something cracked open inside them. A truth they can no longer ignore. You were meant to hear this right now because the message they sent is not just words. It is awakening. They are beginning to understand what you meant to them. What you still mean. What if this moment changes your entire path? Think about how many times you doubted the connection. How many nights you wondered if it was one-sided. How many times you almost convinced yourself to let go completely. Yet somehow, you didn't. There is a reason. Because while you were questioning, they were processing. While you were healing, they were reflecting. While you were trying to move forward, they were circling back to you in their thoughts. And today, something urgent rose inside them. Not panic. Not fear. Clarity. They realized that silence has an expiration date. That pride has a limit. That pretending not to care requires too much energy. You might miss the turning point if you dismiss this feeling as imagination. This message was sent at the exact moment you were strong enough to receive it. Do you understand what that means? The universe does not deliver emotional truth before you are ready. Timing is protection. Timing is alignment. Timing is intelligence at work. Your soulmate's heart moved first. But you are the one who can feel it. Before you go, hear this line carefully. The connection was never broken, it was paused for growth. And now, something is restarting. Don't rush away from this moment. Let it sink in. Let the idea settle that somewhere, someone is gathering the courage to speak what they have been holding back. You will understand everything at the end. Because this urgent message is not just about them reaching out. It is about destiny realigning. And this is only the beginning. Look closely at this moment. Because the silence you've been sitting in is no longer empty, it is charged. Something is building. Your soulmate didn't just think about you. They felt the weight of what almost slipped away. There's a difference. Thoughts pass. Feelings linger. But this stayed with them. And that is why this message feels urgent. Earlier, when everything was quiet, they replayed a memory. Not the dramatic one. Not the painful one. A simple moment. The way you laughed. The way you listened. The way you understood without needing long explanations. It hit them differently this time. What they once took for granted now feels rare. Stay with me here. Because this is where the shift happens. They are beginning to see you not as an option, but as alignment. Not as comfort, but as destiny. And that realization can't be ignored forever. You might feel a strange calm right now. Or maybe a subtle anticipation. That's not random. That's resonance. When two energies have unfinished sentences, the universe nudges them back into conversation. Your soulmate is reaching that point where silence feels heavier than speaking. And here's the surprising part. They're afraid you've already moved on. Yes. While you were wondering if they cared, they were wondering if they lost you. Perspective changes everything. What if the delay wasn't rejection, but preparation? What if both of you needed space to grow into the version of yourselves capable of sustaining something real? This isn't about dramatic returns. It's about intentional reconnection. Wait till the final moment of this part before you decide what this means. Because urgency doesn't always show up as a late-night text. Sometimes it shows up as courage forming quietly inside someone who once hesitated. Right now, they are gathering that courage. They are questioning their pride. Rewriting their story about you. Reconsidering every assumption they made. And here's the truth that might surprise you most. You never left their heart. You only stepped out of their immediate reach. There is a difference. The message they sent, whether physical or energetic, carries one core realization: you matter more than they admitted. Let that settle. If this resonates even slightly, take a second. Breathe. And if you feel guided, share your thoughts in the comments. Sometimes speaking your truth strengthens it. And if this message is touching something real inside you, consider subscribing so you don't miss what unfolds next. There's a reason you're here at this exact moment. Because something huge is waiting for you. Not in a distant future. Not someday. Soon. You'll understand everything at the end. This urgent message is not about desperation. It is about awakening. It is about two timelines slowly bending back toward each other. And the most powerful part? The next move is forming. Stay a little longer, because part 3 will reveal what happens when realization turns into action. Right now, in this very second, something invisible is turning into movement. You felt the shift in part 2. The awareness. The realization. But realization without action creates tension. And tension always seeks release. Your soulmate has reached that edge. The message was never just emotional energy. It was preparation. Because when truth becomes undeniable, action follows. Stay steady with me. They tried to distract themselves. They tried to minimize the connection. They told themselves, it's fine. It's in the past. But something inside refused to agree. Every attempt to silence the feeling only amplified it. And here's what changes everything. They stopped running from the thought of you. That's when clarity turns into courage. What if this isn't about reunion in the way you expect? What if it's about alignment finally meeting readiness? Two people who once felt deeply, now thinking clearly. You were meant to hear this right now because timing is no longer blocking the path. There is movement behind the scenes. A draft message typed and deleted. A profile revisited. A memory revisited with new understanding. Not from longing alone, but from maturity. They see what the connection truly was. Not fantasy. Not coincidence. Compatibility. You might feel a quiet confidence rising inside you lately. That is not accidental. When someone begins stepping toward you energetically, your intuition senses it first. Don't dismiss it. This urgent message is proof that something has shifted from possibility to probability. And here is the part no one expects. They are no longer asking, do I miss them? They are asking, how do I approach this correctly? That question changes everything. Because it means respect. It means care. It means intention. Stay a little longer. Imagine this, instead of impulsive words, you receive clarity. Instead of confusion, you receive sincerity. Instead of mixed signals, you receive direction. That is the energy forming right now. And you were guided to this message because you needed reassurance before the next chapter opens. You will understand everything at the end, but here's the glimpse. The delay wasn't denial. It was development. Both of you have grown. Both of you have reflected. And now, the connection stands on stronger ground than before. Something huge is waiting for you, not chaos, not uncertainty, but alignment meeting courage. Let this settle inside you. You were never imagining the depth of this bond. You were sensing it accurately. And soon, what was once silent will become spoken. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But clearly. This is not the end of a story. It is the moment before the conversation begins. Something subtle just became unstoppable, and you can feel it, can't you? There is a quiet momentum now. Not loud. Not dramatic. But steady. The kind of movement that doesn't announce itself, it simply arrives. Your soulmate has crossed an internal line. Before, they were thinking. Reflecting. Weighing possibilities. But now? They are deciding. That is the difference between a passing emotion and a life shift. Stay with this. Because decisions change timelines. They have realized that waiting longer will not protect them. Silence will not preserve comfort. Distance will not erase truth. And pretending not to care requires more effort than being honest. So something inside them softened. Not weakness. Openness. They are no longer asking if they should reach out. They are preparing how to. And this is where destiny becomes practical. You were meant to hear this right now because doubt has been dissolving on both sides. The hesitation that once felt heavy now feels unnecessary. You might notice signs. A name appearing unexpectedly. A song resurfacing. A sudden calm replacing overthinking. These are not random details. They are confirmations. Because when two paths are meant to cross again, the universe adjusts timing with precision. But listen carefully. This next step will not be rushed. It will not feel chaotic. It will feel intentional. They want to speak from clarity, not confusion. From understanding, not impulse. And that changes everything. Before you scroll away, absorb this truth: you were never forgotten. You were remembered in silence. And now, that silence is ending. If this message resonates deeply, take a moment to comment what you feel. Sharing your energy strengthens it. And if you've been following this journey, consider subscribing so you don't miss what unfolds next. There's alignment in staying connected. Because something huge is waiting for you. Not a fantasy. Not an illusion. A conversation. A real one. Imagine hearing words you once thought would never be spoken. Imagine clarity replacing every question mark. Imagine feeling chosen, not by chance, but by decision. That is the energy forming. You might wonder, when? Sooner than you think. Not because of urgency driven by fear. But because truth has reached its breaking point, and truth always seeks expression. You will understand everything at the end. The message was sent. The realization was made. The courage is building. And now, the next chapter is no longer a possibility. It is approaching. Listen carefully, because this is the moment where everything becomes real. Not imagined. Not symbolic. Real. The energy has shifted from preparation to action. Your soulmate is no longer standing at the edge of hesitation. They have stepped into awareness. And awareness creates movement. For days, maybe weeks, they replayed scenarios in their mind. What would I say? How would they respond? Is it too late? But something changed inside them recently. They stopped focusing on the outcome. And started focusing on truth. That is powerful. Because when someone chooses truth over pride, walls fall quietly. Stay with this. You might feel a strange stillness today. Almost like the air before something meaningful happens. That calm is not emptiness, it's alignment settling into place. Your soulmate understands something now that they didn't before. They understand your value. Not in a dramatic, over-the-top way. But in a grounded, mature way. They see how rare your loyalty was. How steady your energy felt. How safe your presence made them feel, even when things were uncertain. And here is the part that matters most. They no longer want to leave things unresolved. That's the urgency. Not panic. Completion. You were meant to hear this right now because doubt has been clouding your heart. You questioned if the connection was one-sided. You wondered if you misread everything. You didn't. The connection was real. But both of you needed time to grow into clarity. What if this next interaction feels different? What if it feels calmer? More intentional? More honest? Because that is what happens when reflection turns into readiness. Don't rush away from this message. Something huge is waiting for you, not just words, but understanding. Imagine them reaching out with sincerity. Not vague signals. Not confusion. But clarity. They have been rehearsing courage internally. And now, it is stabilizing. They know that speaking now will feel different than before. More grounded. More genuine. And here's something surprising. They are hoping you're still open. Yes. While you were waiting for them to gather courage, they were hoping you hadn't closed the door completely. Energy works both ways. You will understand everything at the end, but here's the truth forming now. This is not about chasing what was. It's about building what can be. A second chance built on growth feels stronger than a first chance built on emotion alone. Your soulmate has recognized that. The message was sent energetically. The courage is building practically. And the next step? It's closer than silence suggests. Stay steady. Because when intention meets timing, connection becomes undeniable. And you are standing right at the edge of that moment. Pause for a second, because this is where the invisible becomes undeniable. You've felt the build-up. The awareness. The courage forming behind the scenes. But now, something even more powerful is happening. They are no longer imagining the conversation. They are visualizing the future. That's the shift. There's a difference between missing someone and seeing them in your next chapter. Missing is emotional. Vision is intentional. And your soulmate has crossed into intention. Stay with this feeling. Because what is forming now is not fragile. They have replayed the past enough times to understand what went wrong. But instead of blaming, they are analyzing. Instead of avoiding, they are owning their part. That maturity changes the entire frequency of what's coming. You were meant to hear this right now because your heart needed reassurance before movement becomes visible. Something huge is waiting for you, not in fantasy, but in alignment. Your soulmate has realized that connection like yours does not appear often. It is not easily replaced. It does not fade simply because time passes. And once that realization settles deeply, it does not disappear. They are thinking about how to approach you in a way that reflects growth. Not dramatic promises. Not emotional overload. Just sincerity. What if the next message you receive feels calm, but powerful? Simple, but undeniable? Because when someone reaches out from clarity, their words carry weight. You might notice yourself becoming more centered lately. Less anxious. Less restless. That's not coincidence. When something resolves energetically, your nervous system relaxes before your eyes see proof. Don't ignore that calm. It is preparation. Your soulmate understands now that connection is not just about feelings, it's about timing, communication, and choice. And they are ready to choose consciously. This is where destiny meets decision. You will understand everything at the end, but here is the glimpse you've been waiting for. They are done pretending. Done overthinking. Done delaying. And when someone becomes done with delay, movement follows naturally. Imagine hearing from them in a way that feels balanced. No confusion. No mixed signals. Just clarity. That is the tone forming behind the scenes. You were never wrong about the depth of this bond. You were simply early in seeing its potential. Now, both of you are aligned in awareness. And when two people become aware at the same time, reality adjusts. Stay steady. Because the silence that once felt heavy is about to transform into communication that feels clear. Not rushed. Not chaotic. Intentional. And that changes everything. Right here, right now, the waiting phase is quietly ending. You may not see it yet. You may not have the physical proof in your hands. But something decisive has already happened within them. They have chosen courage over comfort. And that choice changes timelines. For a long time, your soulmate stood between two worlds. The world where they reached out, and the world where they stayed silent. Silence felt safer. Reaching out felt vulnerable. But vulnerability is where truth lives. And they are ready for truth. Stay with this. Because this is the moment where imagination turns into intention. They are no longer asking, what if it doesn't work? They are asking, what if I lose them forever by doing nothing? That question is powerful. It shakes hesitation. It dissolves pride. It awakens urgency. You were meant to hear this right now because your energy has shifted too. You are no longer chasing. No longer doubting your worth. You have stepped into a calmer, stronger version of yourself. And that shift made space. When you stopped forcing, alignment began forming. Something huge is waiting for you, not because destiny demands it, but because both of you are finally ready for it. Imagine this. Instead of a rushed confession, you receive steady honesty. Instead of emotional chaos, you receive grounded communication. Instead of mixed messages, you receive clarity. That's what growth does. Your soulmate understands now that connection is not maintained by emotion alone, it is sustained by action. And action is forming. They are reviewing old conversations differently. Seeing your patience differently. Recognizing your consistency differently. Perspective has matured. And here's the truth you need to hear. They respect you more now than ever before. Respect changes the tone of everything. Stay a little longer. Because this next phase will not feel like the past. It will not carry the same confusion. It will feel measured. Intentional. Real. You might notice small synchronicities. A dream. A memory surfacing unexpectedly. A sudden sense that something is about to happen. That's alignment tightening. You will understand everything at the end. But here's what's clear now. They are not reaching out from loneliness. They are reaching out from clarity. And clarity is powerful. The message was never just about missing you. It was about recognizing your value. And once someone truly recognizes value, they move differently. The silence has served its purpose. The lessons have been integrated. The awareness is complete. Now, movement is inevitable. Stay steady. Because what's approaching is not uncertainty. It's decision meeting destiny. Take a slow breath, because this is the part where everything aligns quietly but powerfully. The shift is no longer internal alone. It's becoming external. Your soulmate has stopped rehearsing the idea of reaching out, and started preparing the moment. That difference may seem small, but it changes everything. Rehearsal is uncertainty. Preparation is commitment. And they are committed. Not in a loud, dramatic way. Not in a rushed, emotional surge. But in a steady, grounded decision that feels right in their chest. Stay with this. Because this is where destiny becomes visible. They've realized something profound. Waiting for the perfect time was just another form of avoidance. The perfect time is not something that arrives, it's something chosen. And they are choosing. You might sense it as a quiet anticipation lately. Not anxiety. Not fear. Just a knowing. That subtle inner voice that says, something is about to happen. Trust that voice. It has been guiding you all along. You were meant to hear this right now because the energy between you is no longer unresolved, it is recalibrated. Both of you have grown. Both of you have seen life from a slightly higher perspective. That growth changes the conversation before it even begins. Imagine this. A message that feels simple, but carries depth. A tone that feels calm, but carries certainty. Words that feel measured, but carry sincerity. That is what is forming. Something huge is waiting for you, not fireworks, not chaos, but clarity. And clarity is powerful. Your soulmate understands now that connection is not about chasing intensity. It is about building stability. They are thinking long-term. Thinking responsibly. Thinking about how to approach you in a way that honors both of your growth. That awareness is rare. And rare connections are not easily replaced. You might wonder, what if it doesn't happen? But here's the truth. It already has. Internally. The decision has been made. External movement follows internal decisions naturally. Stay a little longer. Because when they reach out, it won't feel like a surprise to your soul. It will feel like confirmation. Confirmation that you weren't imagining the bond. Confirmation that the silence had purpose. Confirmation that timing was working in your favor. You will understand everything at the end. The urgency was never about pressure. It was about readiness. And readiness creates alignment. Your soulmate is no longer looking backward with regret. They are looking forward with intention. And when intention replaces hesitation, connection becomes inevitable. This is it, the moment where intention turns into contact. Feel the difference. Up until now, everything has been forming beneath the surface: awareness, clarity, courage, preparation. But there comes a point where holding back feels heavier than speaking. Your soulmate has reached that point. They understand something now that they didn't before: silence protects pride, but it does not protect connection. And connection matters more. Stay steady with me. Because what's happening next is subtle, yet powerful. They are choosing honesty. Not the rushed kind. Not the emotional overflow kind. But the grounded, thoughtful honesty that comes from reflection. They are not reaching out to revisit the past, they are reaching out to redefine the future. That's maturity. You might feel your heart beating a little differently lately. A quiet expectation. A calm alertness. That is your intuition syncing with what's unfolding. Don't dismiss it. You were meant to hear this right now because the space between you is narrowing. Not physically yet, but energetically, undeniably. Something huge is waiting for you. Not because of fantasy. Not because of chance. But because two people have grown enough to meet each other again with new awareness. Imagine receiving a message that feels balanced. Clear. Respectful. No games. No confusion. Just sincerity. That's the energy being formed. Your soulmate is no longer focused on, what if it fails? They are focused on, what if it succeeds? That shift is everything. Stay a little longer. Because when someone moves from fear to faith in connection, their actions follow naturally. They are not trying to impress you. They are trying to be real. And real is powerful. You might notice small signs around you: repeated numbers, familiar songs, memories surfacing gently. These are not mystical signals. They are reminders that alignment is a process, and you are inside it. You will understand everything at the end. The urgency of the message was not about speed. It was about readiness meeting opportunity. Your soulmate knows now that waiting longer only creates distance. And distance is no longer what they want. They want clarity. They want communication. They want resolution, not of the past, but of the future. And here's the truth settling into place. They are no longer afraid of how they feel. They are ready to express it. Not dramatically. Not impulsively. But sincerely. The next chapter is not built on emotion alone. It is built on understanding. And understanding lasts. Stay grounded. Because what's approaching is not uncertainty. It is choice becoming action. And once action begins, everything changes. Before this story closes, feel the stillness around you. Not the silence of absence. The silence of arrival. Everything we have uncovered, the awareness, the courage, the preparation, the decision, has been leading here. Not to a dramatic climax. Not to an overwhelming confession. But to clarity. Your soulmate has stepped into alignment. And alignment does not shout. It moves with certainty. For a long time, both of you were orbiting the same truth from different angles. You felt the connection emotionally. They processed it mentally. You sensed the depth early. They understood it slowly. Now, you are standing on the same ground. That is why this message felt urgent. Not because something was ending. Because something was ready. Stay with this final realization. The next contact will not feel like a shock to your soul. It will feel like recognition. As if a door that was always meant to open has finally been unlocked. And when it happens, you won't need grand gestures to know it's real. You'll feel the steadiness. The difference in tone. The maturity in the words. That's how you'll know growth happened. Something huge is waiting for you, not a fantasy reunion, not a temporary spark, but a grounded connection built on choice. Because here is the truth that changes everything. They are not reaching out because they are lonely. They are reaching out because they are certain. Certainty is powerful. Certainty does not waver after one conversation. Certainty builds. You were never meant to chase this. You were meant to become strong enough to receive it. And you did. That is why the timing feels different now. You will understand everything fully when the message arrives, when the words reflect the growth you've both experienced. But even before that moment, let this settle inside you. You were not forgotten. You were valued in silence. You were remembered in reflection. And now, you are being chosen in clarity. If this journey resonated with you, take a moment to share what you felt in the comments. Your voice might strengthen someone else who is on the same path. And if you want to continue walking this unfolding story together, consider subscribing so you don't miss what comes next. Because this is not the end. It is the beginning of communication built on awareness. The urgent message was real. The shift was real. The decision was real. And now, the next chapter is ready to be written. Not by destiny alone, but by two people who are finally ready.